Hey everybody, welcome to another Motivational Monday. Today I'm talking about a very somewhat sensitive subject in the aspect of a meeting that I had today at work. They were talking about racism and prejudice and how things that have happened in our country have caused long-term effects. I'm not getting into that. However, I was doing a Bible study recently going over the book of Esther. There are 10 chapters in it. And I was excited to get in and just to kind of see what was going on in the chapter. I had a preconceived notion as I went into it. Most of what I know about Esther's story comes from Esther 4:14. Perhaps you were created for such a time as this. I didn't go through and look further into the story. I just went off of what was told to me, which was actually just a portion of the information. So as I go into this, my mind is Esther goes in, she talks to the king, she's able to save the Jews, and that's the end of the story. Perhaps you were created for such a time as this. However, since I had the privilege of reading through the whole book of Esther, I was able to gain a new perspective. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. And the message is, yes, comma, but. The story of Esther, she is a Jew. Her uncle Mordecai is close with the king. There's another man named Haman who gets upset with Mordecai, and he wants not only Mordecai dead, but he wants all Jews dead. Esther goes in on behalf of the Jews. She talks to the king, and she lets him know what's going on. She doesn't tell him who, but she lets him know what Haman's plans are and what his idea is and what he has in mind for what he would like to do for the Jews. And this is where I thought the climax of the story was. She goes in and she tells him, and he stops everything from happening. But little do I know that that was just a comma where I thought there was a period. I read on to the story, and the king says, okay, well, that's going on, and I've already set it in place. I already said that it can happen. There's the comma. But since we know this information and we know what's going on, I will give you a chance to defend not only yourself, but to give the Jews a chance to defend themselves. And that's what made me think about the situation today with our meeting. It's like, yes, there are going to be obstacles. There may be racism. There may be issues going on. But God says, I'm putting a comma where you're trying to put a period. Just because someone tells you that this is who you are. Just because someone puts you in a box and says this is all that you will be able to achieve doesn't mean that you have to listen to it. And it definitely doesn't mean that God is going to go to that standard. God says, I'm the one making the rules. I knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. I set you apart. Just because someone else believes a certain thing about you does not mean that you have to believe this about yourself. And I was telling them about how my family foundation was. My father was the one who was very, very instrumental in building my self-esteem. My mother was very, very instrumental in building my relationship with Christ. And there were things that people said to me that were not in the context of what my parents told me. It's like, okay, well, let me check the book. This is what my daddy told me. This is what my mom told me. And it doesn't line up with what you're saying. So it can't be true. And I feel like if a lot more of us, especially Christians, who we know God is our Father, we know He's going to take care of us. We know in His book it says, this is what is going to happen. This is what I have for you, an expected end. I've prepared for you. The outcome was formed before you were even born. He had a plan set for you. So just because someone else says something to you or about you doesn't mean that that's the it. You focus on what God has for your life and what God is telling you that He is going to do for you, and block out all that other stuff, because it's not about what someone else says to you. And I'm just going to tell you that you're probably going to encounter some people who have to say negative things about you. They're going to discourage you. They're going to just downright tell you you can't do it. And that's where you go, okay, yes, you said that. Yes, that's how you feel. Yes, that may be your limited view, comma, but my Father says different. And know God, know His word, and to know whose you are and who you are in Him. So just an encouragement to you, if you're feeling down, if someone's telling you something that is not in line with what your Father is telling you, block it out and stay focused on the Lord and what He is telling you and what He has for your life. Thank you guys so much for watching, as always. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share this message if it's been a blessing to you or you know somebody else that it may be a blessing to. And if you have something that you want to share your yes, comma, but moment, please drop that in the comment below so I can know what your yes, even if it's something that you realize now since seeing this video. Put it in there. Yes, comma, but I know God is working on my behalf. Yes, I've been through stuff, comma, but I know that all things work for the good of those who love the Lord and are called for his purpose. Whatever your yes, comma, but is, I want to hear about it. All right, that's it. I will see you guys back here next Monday for another motivational word. Bye-bye.